Hello guys, I am back and today we're talking about once again Fate Remnant Collide. So yeah, let's begin. So we came back from the last episode. It's basically starting like right after what happened last episode, as we currently see both Rex and also Pyra getting ready for their fight. As she would get ready her spear into its sword form as she would charge in towards one of the Grimm, which was an Ursa. And as for him, he would start getting ready himself as well. Wait for a second. As he would also get ready his weapon, aka Gungnir, into its, halberd form, which we already know. And I'm also really sorry that I didn't make an episode last time as well, because I was sort of busy with like some family stuff. Anyway, continuing on, as we as we see both of them fighting against the Grim, as we currently also see Rex himself fighting against a few, Grim, which were Deathstalkers and also some Nevermore. The Nevermore would start firing off their sharp, feathers. As we currently see him just dodging out of the way. As for Pyra would also dodge it away from some of the other attacks from other Grim. And as for him, he would decide to transform his, Gungnir into its, bow form. And after firing a few, dust shots, he would say this. Those are a lot of them, he would say. As Pyro would say this. It seems that they're already out, she would say. As after saying that, he, aka, Rex, would look over and would see all of the civilians already out of there. As he would say this. Good. So we should get out of here now, he would say. As she would say this. Right. As after saying that, they would start getting ready to leave. But before they can, they would see I think it was called an Ursa Major. Let me just check the wiki. Yeah, they were called Ursa Majors. As the Ursa Major would be blocking the exit. As you'd say this. Well, shit, said, Rex. As after saying that, he would get ready his bow once again as he would start firing at the Ursa. As for some odd reason, the Ursa seems to be much more tougher. As while he saw this, he would say, well, crap, he would say. As after saying that, you would see, Pyra also struggling herself. As she was currently battling against, I think they were called basilisks, the grim that are basically just like, I can't remember that specific, like, mythical creature in mythology. I think it was called Amphisbaena. Yeah, Amphisbaena. Which is basically like, a snake with like two heads, but the other head is basically at the end of its tail. That's basically what it looks like. So as the snake, or at least the snake-like grim, or basilisk, or whatever you want to call it, would start, strangle, Pyra. As when he saw this, he would say, "Crap," he would say. As after saying that, he would say this, "I won't let you hurt her," he would say. As after saying that, he would start charging towards it, using its halberd form, aka Gungnir's halberd form, as he would throw the spear towards it. As when it did, it would start, spinning around like, do you know, this is kind of a spoiler, or at least a sort of spoiler if you already know Bleach. Well, yeah, if you know Neliel from Bleach in her Resurrection, she would use, I think it was called that technique, Lanza something. I don't even remember because I'm not really good with Spanish at all. So yeah, imagine something of that sort. As after throwing the spear would basically pierce through both of its heads, killing it in an instant. As when it did, she would say this, thanks, she would say. Sorry about that. Anyway, I was sort of gassy there. Anyway, continuing on, as he would say this, yeah, no problem. Let's just get out of here, he would say. As he would get ready two of his weapons, specifically he prepares his weapons once again, or at least his weapon, aka Gungnir. After grabbing it, he would start leaving, as when they're, being chased by the aforementioned, Grim, aka, the Ursa, or the, Ursa Major, the Ursa Major would try to, block their, escape. As when it did, he would decide, specifically him, he would decide to just, like, slide down while Pyra basically goes from above. When the Ursa saw this, it couldn't, like, catch bulls, so yeah. and he was trapped, aka, Rex. As Pyro would be the one that basically escaped, as she would say, "Wait, Rex!" she would say, as you'd say this, "Go! I'll come back for you." Or at least later, he would say, as you'd say this, "Are you sure? Are you going to be," as you would say this, "I'll be okay, just get out of here." As after saying that, she would say, "I'll get a rescue team for you," she would say, as you'd say this, "Just get out," he would say. As after saying that, she would start leaving. As when she did, he would say this, "Hmm, finally," he would say. As the Grim would just be just like around him, basically like surrounded him, basically glaring and growling. As he would say this, "Ah, no more casualties," he would say. As he would start to stretch a bit of his body, basically grabbing his elbows and basically stretching it a little bit. As he also stretches his legs, as he would say this, "No more casualties, no more victims." As after saying that, he would grab onto his gungnir, as he would say this, "Now, it's time for you to come out. Sigurd, Ibuki Doji," he would say, as both of them would reappear. And if you don't remember, they look like this. This is Sigurd, and I meant Sigurd, not Siegfried. They're basically two different servants, but by the way, yeah, they're two different servants. I know, confusing. Or at least somewhat confusing. And Ibuki Doji. This one is Ibuki Doji. As when they came out, both of them would say this. "What is it, master?" they would say. As you'd say this. "Ibuki, Sigurd, I want you to take care of them." As both of them would say this. "These weaklings," she would say, specifically Ibuki Doji, as she would say this. "They'll just be slaughter food." I meant, they'll just be, roadkill when the time I finish with them, she would say, as she would wield up, Kusanagi, aka the blade that she wields. And as for Sigurd, he would say this. Yes. As after saying that, he would grab onto Graham, as he would say this. "I'll destroy every single one of them. These creatures that have no souls," he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. "Good. I'll be acting as support," he would say. As after saying that, he would, summon out, or at least, grab onto, Gungnir and would transform it into its bow form. As they would, as both of them or all three of them would start fighting. Sigurd would start fighting by using, these glowing knives that he basically throws. Yeah, don't even question it. There's already you know, first of all, we have archers that basically use, bows and arrows, and then we have, recently, or at least sort of recently, I can't really remember, but either way, and then recently we also have, a a beast class servant, a beast class, and by the way, this is actually true, a beast class servant that we can summon and tame. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. In the game, there in the new in the new game, or at least in Fate, in Fate, or at least in FGO, um, we recently gotten an update, or at least in the GP version for now, where we can finally summon Sodom's Beast, which, if you don't know, wasn't originally a character from Fate Grand Order Arcade, which, by the way, thank the gods that they're able to basically summon. Like, thank God they're able to summon her, because I absolutely love their design. Please do not take that out of context. I just like her, well, her more adult version of her design, because it's much more fun and less, not freaking creepy at all. Looking at you, First Ascension. Anyway, continue on with the episode. As during the fight, we also see, Ibuki Doji start, using her, lightning based techniques and even summoning a cloud of snakes. And these snakes would shoot off blasts from air, or at least, sort of air, fire, and electricity. And as for him, aka Rex, he would start shooting them down. But during the fight, you would see another Ursa, or at least another Ursa Major. As it, actually, it's not really another one, but more like the same one that was trying to block off the thing there. Wait for a second. We see, the Ursa from before, basically, growling at them. As the Ursa would start changing a little bit, gaining much more, demonic ass features, like, for example, horns. As when they saw it, he would say this, specifically, our boy Rex, as he would say this. The hell? Is it seriously evolving? He would say. As after saying that, he would look towards the two of them, as she would say this, specifically Buki. Don't worry, we got this, she would say. As when she said that, she would charge over and try to slash at the beast. But she would be caught off guard when a much more powerful version of wait for a second, what is it called? A much more stronger version, aka a Nevermore, or at least a stronger version of a Nevermore, would basically swoop in and would cut her in half, as she would say this. "Ah, shit, she would say. As when he saw this, he would say, Ibuki, go back to your spirit form immediately, he would say. As she would say this. That brown, or at least you damn grim, as before she can, say anything else, she would disappear, turning into golden dust. And as for Sigurd would try to fight off the large, Ursa, while for Rex, he would start dodging, the large, Nevermore, as you would say this. Seriously, this is getting a little bit hard, even for me, he would say. As when he said that, he would say, dang it, what should I do? I only have one servant right now, and one of them is basically hurt. Not only that, I'm starting to feel a little bit tired, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Wait, I wonder if I can summon other servants, he would say. As he would try to do so, he would basically, cough off a bit of a, or not really cut off, cough, but more like, grab his finger and would start chewing on it, making it bleed, as you'd start making a magic circle. As you would do the summoning chant just like in Fate, or at least any Fate fan tries, basically. As when he did so, something starts to happen. The crude magic circle that he created started to glow, as it starts forming into, a glyph, or at least a glyph that he created, or at least not really created, but more like, when he summons a, you know, any type of like servant, like any type of servant that he's able to summon, it's basically just like that. And when he did so, something would start to come out of it, being that of a woman. The woman would appear. The woman would seem to be wearing some sort of Japanese, style military clothing. Back during, I think, during like the times of of like World War II ish, I guess. It just looks World War II ish to me. As she would have several rifles basically around herself. As she would also have a sword on her hip. As she would say this. Servant Archer, so you have summoned me, the demon king of the sixth heaven, she would say. As after saying that, everybody would just be in shock, including, himself, aka Rex, as you'd say this. Wait, are you? As she would say this. Oh, so you do perhaps know me? Very well. You may call me Nobunaga, she would say. As after saying that, she would say this. Now, bow before, but before she can say anything else, she would look over and would see, wait for a second. But before she can say anything else, she would look over and would say, hmm? What the heck is going on over here, she would say. As she would see, Sigurd struggling for his life against the evolved, Ursa. As he would say this, "Ugh, are you going to help me? As he would, after saying that, the woman would say this, aka Nobunaga. Oh, wait, you you have multiple servants, she would say, as he would say this. Are you seriously going to question this? Are you going to help me, he would say, as she would say this. Seriously, she would say, as after saying that, she would get ready her rifles, as she would say this. Now, destroy, she would say, as after saying that, the rifles would start pointing at every direction, mostly the Grim. And I'm gonna be, ending this episode right off here. So yeah, so bye bye.